Hello, everybody. How are we all doing? Just thought I'd open this stream in a slightly different way, and I thought that'd be quite fun. You can be gone. Also, Sprek Zarathustra. Yeah. How are we doing? We all good? We all happy with the day? Admittedly, we lost to Millwall, and I think I agree with Marcus that match was a little bit of an absolute catastrophe. Be 1 second. I just need to check something because for the first time in some time, I actively suggested to Kayla, you need to watch the start of this stream. I've got a great idea, and I want to see if she agrees. Okay. You. Screen. So. Someone may have. I'm going to add you as a moderator because it's very weird that you're not a mod. Well, you've just created this channel. Someone was creating that channel so she could be start of the chat, and therefore missed the start of the stream, which made that entire introduction a little bit not worthwhile, didn't it? That was good. But yeah, I hope we're all doing well. I hope we're all very jolly with the way that things are going. Hope it's been a decent Saturday in spite of the football. And the football, the football was suboptimal, I think is a fair way of putting it. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a fairly loosey-goosey conversation. Like, this is not a planned stream. This is not a I've got a bunch of banners ready stream, as you can see by the fact that there's not a bunch of banners ready. Thank you very much, Righteous One. I know you were there. Hello, Icy Gaming. I think suboptimal is a bit generous. It is a bit generous, but at the same time, there's a lot of mitigating factors, and we'll get through that. But Leeds lost 2-0 to Millwall, which, on the face of it, very bad. Like, if that happens in a few weeks' time, we're all going to be really miffed. But I think at the moment, the general sort of response to it is, on to Watford, because the FA Cup, and I'm going to be as kind as I can to the FA Cup right now, because I really like it as a competition. But for a long time, has been that competition that you are in, that you're not that bothered about winning. Because, I think someone said something along the lines of 25 of the last 26 have been won by a top 6 side. Not a top 6, like one of the big 6 clubs. Which means that anyway, your chance is on the floor. And then you look a little bit wider and you say, well, okay, so how far would we need to go for it to be financially worthwhile? And off the top of my head, 1 second. There it is. The winning club in the FA Cup final get a grand prize of £2 million, which seems okay, until you remember that it is 1/50th of the television revenue that you get for being in the Premier League for a year. So, as much as it's upsetting to lose to Millwall, especially in that manner where we look kind of crap, I'm finding it that hard to be too bothered. Also, if you are here and you haven't popped a like on the stream yet, do so. That'd be much appreciated. Marcus's numbers are wrong because they are, in fact, 8 of them. I've just noticed that you've changed your profile picture to a pigeon. I respect it. I gotta respect it. Fair enough. Aaron Beaton Run is gone. There is this. This is a little bit of a spook, but the fact that we only have Ethan Ampadu in terms of actual footballers, that was a bad way of phrasing it. We only have Ethan Ampadu in terms of first team players that played in that match. Makes it feel a little bit more okay. I guess you could argue there was Rothwell there as well, and he does play in the first team when we are specifically at home. My YouTube page behind it still says 1 for you. Sometimes it just doesn't update on the user side. It does on the back end though. So I mean, I can keep saying that it's 1, so people keep liking the stream, but I would be lying to you. And we don't do that around these parts. We do good chill vibe streams, and everyone will be all good. This is another very good point. The reason I don't mind us losing is because we made 10 changes. And we made 10 changes because we're keeping players as fit as we can for the league. And us keeping all of those players fit and healthy for the league means that we are ultimately going to be in the very, very nice situation towards the end of the season of fewer players being injured. If Burnley stay in the FA Cup, are Burnley currently in the FA Cup? I can't quite remember. But if Burnley remain in the FA Cup, assuming they are in the FA Cup, I think they are. I'll be honest, I don't care. It's Burnley. But if they stay there, they're going to get players injured. And imagine James Trafford gets a knock in the FA Cup. That's their season done. Because he is almost single-handedly the reason where, like, he's almost single-handedly the reason for them being where they are right now. Because their goals conceded is still something stupid like 9. With an XG of about 19, 20-ish off the top of my head. That is old numbers that I've just pulled out of like a video that I did a while back, so I'm going to have to check. But if they get a knock to somewhere very important, like Estev as another example, they're in deep trouble. And on the other hand, the only thing that we have to worry about losing players to, that we probably will, let's be completely honest and fair here, is the international break. But so will Burnley. And in terms of losing players to the international break, I feel like there is a case for one of our players being the most important player in the club right now. Sorry, I've got the Brighton match on the other monitor, and it just looks like a Brighton player's been shot. That was incredible. Hinchelwood, that's him. I was nearly going to sign him in Football Manager. Once that season is done, maybe I will sign Hinchelwood. But the big sort of concern for me right now in terms of potential player injuries is a guy that I feel is still consistently underrated by the fans. And I'm going to say it quietly, because many people will disagree with this. Brendan Aronson might actually be our most important player. Like, having a look at the way that our front line was playing in that match, you could tell there was a lot of sort of lazy stuff. There was a lot of not pressing too much. It was a little bit more of a mid-block than it was a high press, which means that you are in sort of trouble because you're letting the other side just play throughout their defence, and then you're trying to just anticipate them in the midfield, which is fine if you've got a midfield pairing that know how each other play and can anticipate one another's movements, and when you win the ball, you can retain it well. We did not do that. We won the ball, and then we would try a pass, and the pass would go directly to a Millwall player. And then that would, again, lead to us going back into the mid-block, because it's fine. You wait for the Millwall players to come to you, and then you try and take the ball off them, and you hope that things go forwards instead of backwards again. But time and time again in this match, we bumped into the issue of the final ball being like 3 or 4 inches away from where it needed to be. And a lot of that will admittedly be a case of rotating so many positions all at once is going to cause you problems, because players don't know each other's rhythms, they don't know each other's tendencies, they don't know each other's movements. But at the same time, it's the fact that we've won the ball a little bit deeper that's causing us those issues. And I think the most significant part of that problem is with not having Brendan Aronson as part of that press. You have Brendan Aronson within that front line, then he is going to be squeezing the centre-backs all over the pitch. He's going to be causing as many issues as he feasibly can. Same applies for Dan James. He's just going to go nuts. Same applies on the left flank with Manor Solomon. Ramazani, yes, got a decent press in him. Fair enough. But Chambers doesn't know the system quite as well, has just come back from an injury, and I will completely agree with what Marcus said. Sam Chambers got a debut, and I kind of liked him. I don't know if I liked him as a 10 because all of the best stuff that he was doing is out wide. But at the same time, I didn't hugely enjoy Nonto as the 10. And this shouldn't come as a surprise because Nonto is a winger. We all know this. He's a winger that this season has tended towards the right-hand side. And in the first half, a lovely little statistic came up on the feed that was attacks built down the left-hand side, about 20%. Attacks built up the middle, about 20%. Attacks down the right flank, 60% of our attacks came through there. Which is huge. And to me, that pointed out a pretty big issue with Nonto in the 10, and that is by his very nature, he's someone that floats around and likes to find little bits of pockets of space. And those pockets of space that he likes were out on that right flank. I just realized that for the camera, I'm pointing to the left, but out on the right flank. So he would hover over in that direction, and then suddenly you've got the area with Isaac Schmidt and Sam Chambers, who did fairly well as a duo, fair enough to him, getting even more cramped because the players that are trying to track Nonto are also in that area, as well as the players that are dealing with the right back and the right winger. And that just adds to your problems. Because have a think about it, the more compact that space is, the more trouble we're going to have because we play our best when we're doing the transitional stuff. And you can't do the transitional stuff when areas are that dense. So it's not ideal, I don't think. Sam Chambers, maybe he can be a 10. He wasn't in this match. I don't know if I'd trust him doing so in the league whilst there is still a big promotion race going on. I honestly, as much as he looked fine and DeBio looked fine, I don't think either of them did enough to earn a start in the league at any point soon. And maybe they could find their way on the bench, but I don't know if they scream promising loudly enough to force their way past some of the established talent that's on the bench. There is also this point, right, that he is, at the end of the day, a 17-year-old. And as a 17-year-old, you should not be expected to be the best player in your side. And I'll be honest, he looked kind of good in that role. Schmidt looked okay. Linked up well with Schmidt, yeah. But this was the thing, he proved himself as being effective in a role that is already oversubscribed at the club. He proved that he could be really effective in a role that has Ramazani and Solomon and Nonto and James queuing up for it. Specifically on the right flank, Dan James. I don't see Sam Chambers getting through Dan James in that queue. And the reason that we didn't have Dan James for this match was the fact that I believe he was suffering from a knock, which is a little bit of an issue, but that's fine. Same with Rodon. They were just sort of, I think the way that Farke phrased it was he didn't want to take risks, which says that they're on the brink of being back, but you don't want to sort of mess with it because if you bring them on for 10 minutes at the end of an FA Cup match that doesn't really matter too much anyway, all you're going to do is invite problems. And the more you invite problems, the spookier things are going to be. So let's not do that, and we'll look a little bit more likely to get promoted. I think it was just a case of wise squad management, this match. Should have got a striker in, big mistake, same thing last season. I don't know, though. I don't know if it was a mistake not getting a number 9 in, and I did sort of picture this being the response the first time we didn't get a result after the window. Because we win this 1-0 because the first deflection doesn't happen, the keeper doesn't get to a penalty, whatever. Then everyone is saying, damn, I guess we kind of did make a good decision in the January window. The only time that we're going to know if it was the right decision is at the end of the season, if we're promoted or not. That's it. That's how we know. Can you be a footballer from Leeds, past or present? Georgie, why not? Jorginho Rutter. I say this because he's just scored a goal against Chelsea, Well, he did in the first half. I don't know if he scored again. The moment I say that, flash score shows as Brighton 2-1 up. It's okay. It wasn't Georgie. We don't have to include Brighton goals, so that's fine. Sounds good. Where were we? There were we. But I'm becoming increasingly convinced that Brendan Aronson might be our most important footballer right now. Which is not something that many people would have expected to say at the start of the season. But I think it's accurate now, right? Who else would you put on that list? Because Tanaka, you can drop for a Rothwell. Ampadu, you can drop for Strauch if he's in defence. Gruev if he's in midfield. I think the only... ain't going to be back in that chat on this channel. So I'm going to get rid of that message, but just keep that in mind. Where were my words? But I don't think there is anyone as irreplaceable as... Was it a return assist? That's Georgie. Was it a delete? Oh, it was. He scored and got an assist. He's just so good. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone that is as irreplaceable as Brendan Aronson at the minute. And it would be very, very tough to find someone that is that same level of irreplaceable. At least in the Championship. Because, like, as much as we say that he wasn't great in the Premier League, we need to remember that last season there was a reason he was playing in the Champions League. And that's because Union Berlin saw something in him. He didn't get that many minutes, and he's not like a why isn't he playing at a top 6 club kind of player. But he's firmly in the territory of, you could see him getting on at like a Palace or an Everton, and you couldn't see any Championship club ever being able to actually sign him. Tanaka's irreplaceable in my eyes. He has the key to my heart. I mean, Tanaka has the key to everyone's heart. But yeah, I mean, that's not even in question, is it, realistically? Like, in terms of the most beloved of the summer signings, it's got to be Ao Tanaka. But I think retaining Brendan Aronson will have more of an impact than we think by the end of the season. And it's not just a case of look at the goal and assist numbers. On which, by the way, he's also doing quite well. Like, that needs to be noted. So goals and assists this season, Brendan Aronson, 10. He has... I'm going to sort that per 90, actually. Just to see how he's doing. Okay, this is a really interesting fun fact. Aronson's goals and assists per 90 are roughly similar with the rest of the front line. A little bit worse, yeah, but that's because he's playing through the middle and we tend to play a quite wide game. There is one non-attacker in the top 8 for goal involvements. Per 90, that is. And it is Junior Firpo, whose assists per 90 rate is just ridiculous. He's being admittedly closely matched by Mana Solomon, but his numbers are so good. It's ridiculous. Solomon, 6 goals, 6 assists. Junior Firpo, 1 goal, 6 assists. We're just quite good. Keep theirs on the real prize, no need for extra games and possible injuries. This is where I'm landing. This is why this is a short stream that has an admittedly mildly clickbaity title. Like, not good enough, question mark? Yeah, the performance today wasn't good enough, but it's okay. Because the actual sort of consequences of not winning this match are effectively 0. It's not something that's going to hurt us in the long term. It's not something that's going to hurt us in the short term. What would hurt us in the long term is going through, getting someone like a Brighton, as an example, thinking, you know what, let's try and win this game. And then we play a first team, 2 or 3 players get injured, promotion push derailed. This way round, we do everything that we can to not have that derailed. We do everything that we can to just keep things firm and solid and fine and good. And I think that's the better approach for the championship season. It's one of those where it would have been nice, but kind of depends. It depends on who's available. Brereton Diaz, I think, was only ever going to go back to the side he was at before. Tom Cannon maybe would have been all right, but then you're in a situation when if you've got all four of the strikers fit, you can only start one of them. You can't put the other three on the bench. So what happens then? Because you don't realistically want to be paying Bamford £40,000 a week to not be in a squad. Like that feels like it would be a bad idea. And there is this. Like at the end of the day, their first goal was a big deflection. I think the second was deflected as well. I'm going to have to check that. I'll have a look now. Leeds versus Mill. Not seen an actual replay of their second goal yet. Ramazani was unlucky not to score too. I did forget about that. That was a really nice save. And the penalty save was really good. Like, let's not ignore this. That was a very nice penalty save. Oh, it's not a fun deflection for that one either, is it? The angle's not great, but yeah, deflection takes away from Darlow. But it's one of those matches. Like, you're not going to win everything. You can't stay unbeaten forever. And I would rather lose the unbeaten run to Millwall in the FA Cup, which is a competition that we know we're not going to win anyway, than to Watford on Tuesday in the Championship, which would kind of screw us a little bit. Like, the momentum just goes if that happens, which I would call dangerous. But that should be fine. And putting a bid for Deflectinho. Yeah, we absolutely should. Right, this is an aside, right? When did we last have an own goal go in for us? I cannot remember off the top of my head. And that is odd, because it feels like it's been a long time, unless I'm just forgetting stuff. When we get to the Premier League, who realistically should we sign? I think Ramsdale and goal or Delap as a striker. I think I agree on the Ramsdale thing. Ramsdale is very good at getting relegated. So if that could not happen for a while, I'd be very, very happy with it. Like Southampton are going down with Ramsdale in net, so that doesn't quite scream like world beater. If Burnley stay down, fuck it, go for Trafford. You might as well. But there's a bunch of positions that we'd need to cover, I think. I don't think it will demoralise the squad. I think we likely went into this match knowing that, yeah, we played Wednesday. Millwall have a lot more rest than us. They've had more time to prep for the match, and we've played the most rotated match possible. So it kind of, you expect these things, I think. So if a player's coming out of this demoralised that we're not in the 5th round of the FA Cup, then I don't know what to say, to be honest with you, because there's not too much. Just one quick second. I've found a page. I've found a useful page. I'm going to look for our most recent own goal. Weirdly, it was in December against Preston North End. And then Ben Cabango against Swansea City before that, which is weird. It feels less recent than that, which is fun. Tremendously very average performance all around today, with Leeds' best player being Solomon, who was only pitched last 20 minutes, pretty much says it all. Another thing that we sort of suffered from was both Byram and Largy. Largy played on the left. Both Byram and Largy like to cut inside a fair bit. So you see them both doing that on the same flank. And you're like, well, where's the width on the left? So you could see when Furpo came on as well, it very much became a case of, okay, now we can do something down the left-hand side. Because everything was just built towards working out on the right flank, and that it just didn't happen for us. So I think if we would have been a little bit more flexible in terms of that, if Nonto would have been a bit better at playing over on the right, not right, on the left-hand side, wonderful. But it didn't happen often enough, I don't think. Gilavogi should have been let go in the window, just gone. I don't know about that. I think if he's good for the morale, then that's fine. Oh, sorry, I had something in my eye there. There we go, got it. Like, because at the end of the day, he's not going to get that many minutes. Like, look at the rest of the season. Is Gilavogi starting any matches? No. Is Gilavogi getting anything more than the occasional minutes off the bench? No. So I'm not too concerned about Joshua Gilavogi sticking around. It's fine. There's no point like turfing him out after 3 months, because then again, what happens if 2 players get injured again? Then you're back right at the start as to where we were in the first place. So I think you just keep him as spare parts at this point in the season. And it feels mean to phrase it like that, but it's okay because you guys know exactly what I mean. I honestly thought we, Millwall, were going to get better, but there's been a revolution at Millwall since Harris left. Totally different club since we beat you last. Going to miss Leeds. I hope that means that you think we'll go up. I think we'll be okay. Yeah. I think the fact you rotated less than we did means it sort of makes sense that you were able to get the sort of performance that you were. Like, a lot of the players on the pitch weren't familiar with playing with one another. Like, no way Gilavogi has ever played a minute. Well, I say that. No way Gilavogi has ever played an extended period of time with Sam Chambers. So there wasn't that chemistry there. But that's okay, because we shall simply get you back when it comes to the match in a few weeks' time. Leeds in trouble with the club. It wasn't Leeds fans. It was tragedy chanting from the Millwall fans, as far as I'm aware, about the Turkey stuff. So, yeah. And hopefully they find the folks that were doing so, and they are banning ordered as soon as possible, because tragedy chanting of all varieties is just not, no. And if you are a fan that does so about other clubs, stop it. Just do better than that, yeah. He was a bit, yeah. He feels like he's trying a little bit too hard to prove a point. He's trying to prove his value through like getting those performances, and when they're not coming to him, he's not quite clocked onto the fact that maybe, just maybe, the other players on the team can do the thing that you are trying to do just as well as you. I think that's the better approach. Did you knock cup today, bugger? Up the Owls. Me team lost West Brom. Me team lost Millwall, which was a bit of a shame. But it's just in the territory of a bit of a shame. It's not, oh no, the promotion run is done. It's cool. Let's just focus on the league now. And I've done with it. It was Sean, yeah. Don't really want to single out any particular players. None of them stepped up to earn a chance in the first team. Yeah, no one pulled up trees. I think the only real player that sort of made an account for themselves that was better than they already have, sort of improved their reputation in this match, was probably Sam Chambers. Just because, like, first ever senior start, and you went into it thinking, what's he going to do? Turns out one of our most effective attackers in that first half. I think I agree with Dr. Cox, yeah. Probably our best player. So that's why I thought it was a bit of a shame that when we made the subs, he was one of the ones to come off, because like he did quite well. I think he earned his spot, and I think he would have deserved to stay in his spot. Before I finish, I've got to work out what I'm going to do a video about for the morning. And then I need to record said video. So I'm going to hop over to news now, see if anything's outside of the match itself. If you've got any suggestions for stuff that you would like me to discuss that I have not discussed prior, can you please shout it at me? Because that would be very good. Outside of Marcus's recommendation about doing the vid about pigeons, I shall not be doing a video about pigeons, for I do not believe there is a video to be done about pigeons, because I don't know what I'd say. Like, it's quite hard to think of things to say about pigeons, you know? They don't do tons. They just sort of hang out, do some poops, and they're like, cool, I'm gonna leave you to your thing. That's nice, Mr. Pigeon. Okay. Seagulls, also a bunch of bastards. An important thing to know. Leeds Cup final, that's why we dig so deep, best game of the season. Honestly, I'm glad. Like, it's good to have those little rivalries. Which is why when we're up in the Premier League and everyone starts to sort of take everything a lot more seriously again, it'll be a little bit like, like some of the better rivalries that I've enjoyed over the years have been like the short-term little skirmishes that we had with Derby that was sort of like, ooh, Spygate, playoffs. And he just sort of landed in some sort of fun realm in which they had to give us a guard of honour as we got promoted. That was wonderful. But those feel like they're less common in the Premier League. This is roughly it. I think John Redmond has basically landed spot on with it. If we win Tuesday night, today will be forgotten. So all we got to do is we got to go down to Watford, beat Watford, and then we'll be very, very happy. That'd be very, very nice. Managed to get a ticket with my boy today for his first Leeds United game at home. Was very disappointing. Yeah, those things are going to happen sometimes. But it's okay. Like my first away day, we ended up losing, and that was a bit of a stinker. But it's about the experience, and that's what counts. Like, it would be nice to get a result, but sometimes the fact that it is just a first of doing a thing is in itself, like, that alone is the result. You get me? That makes sense? Or am I talking complete waffle? I could be talking total waffle. That is completely fair. One of these prospective videos that I've got an eye on is maybe the one about Aronson's role in the side. That could be a good one. I could do the Robbie Cook one, but I don't think anyone's going to really care about us signing a youth striker. Oh, that annoyed me as well. I have been somewhat reminded of the fun result for Sheffield United, who decided to be, at least statistically, absolutely pumped by Portsmouth. But you know what happened? They won 2-1. Despite being absolutely hammered on XG. And it's annoying, because other teams are going to keep scraping out these results, and they're going to keep doing it despite not being good enough to do it consistently, and they're going to keep getting away with it. And the only thing that we can do in response is to just keep pushing. And then that'll do it. I've got an idea for the video that I want to do for tomorrow, but it's one that I want to do a little bit more justice to. So that might not be tomorrow. That might be something that I script a bit more and do a bit more prep stuff on. The team was shocking today. I was getting knocked out by small clubs. We've got a Millwall fan in here. Don't say that. He might leave. No, it's fine. Because I, myself, am going to be leaving in a moment. So that was a suave little segue. So I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you did, pop a like on it. That's always much appreciated. It really helps it get pushed out a little bit. subscribe if you're not yet. That's always fantastic. Helps the channel to keep on growing. Could even be a channel member if you fancy. 99p for a month, and you get stuff like videos like the one I'm going to be filming in a little while. Early, basically, as soon as I filmed them. Which is typically like 5-6 hours before everyone else, which is quite nice. But yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later. Toodaloo, amigos. And I'm going to leave to the dramatic music that I entered by.